volunteered to join his expedition. The young man's sense of adventure might have reminded Whitley of himself as a youth. He had left his home on the Ohio frontier many years before, while still a teenager, and he had never really stopped moving since. He had worked on fishing boats out of Gloucester, Massachusetts, slung hash at a makeshift Kansas restaurant, traded sugar and molasses on the Red River of Louisiana, and, of course, he had served the United States as an agent of federal law. Through these experiences, Whitley had formed an appreciation for the American wilderness and the physical challenges it presented. He had grown from a skinny, bow-legged kid into a sinewy 37-year-old man with piercing blue eyes, high cheekbones, and a vaguely menacing dark brown goatee. He had developed the skills with horses and firearms that helped make him useful to the government. He arrived at the Stanton River not only as a representative of the Treasury Department, but also as a deputy United States Marshal, carrying a sheaf of blank warrants authorizing him to arrest any violator of the tax law he might encounter. More than that, he had developed a thoroughly jaded view of human nature and how it could be manipulated to his advantage, honestly if possible, but through deception if necessary, and convenient. Two local men, members of the Pacifist Church of the Brethren, who had lodged and fed Whitley's group the previous night, approached Whitley as he contemplated the roaring Stanton. Solemnly, they advised him that it would be too dangerous for him and his fellow representatives of federal power to try to swim their horses across. Whitley hesitated. Were these pious men trying to cover for the moonshiners? And what if they were? The water certainly looked life-threatening. Adventuresome as he might be, he had not risked his neck for the Union cause on any of the Civil War's great fields of battle. Rather, his had been what was known as secret service, intelligence work in the back alleys and no-man's lands of the Union-occupied South. Some of these operations had been violent, to be sure, but at least they allowed for a measure of planning and control. He turned to his local guide. "You have the best horse," he commanded. "Go in and swim the river first." The man refused. The intrepid young clerk stepped forward and volunteered to try it on his mount. "Go it," Whitley said, "and we will follow suit." Only when he saw the clerk plunge his horse into the water and make it safely across did Whitley decide that he, too, could make the attempt. Soon his entire party was on the south bank of the Stanton, dripping wet, but ready to take on the moonshiners. Moving from point to point like a small Civil War raiding party, Whitley's team smashed some 30 illegal stills with axes in just a couple of weeks. Their most effective weapon was the element of surprise, enhanced by Whitley's knack for the strategic lie. Riding up to one still, Whitley's team caught a dozen of the locals filling jugs with rye and apple brandy. As they tried to flee, he shouted, "Boys, I have you surrounded by United States soldiers. There are over 100 of them. All of you step up here and give in your names." Believing that there was a company of troops concealed in the surrounding woods, the men did as Whitley ordered. He seized an axe and proceeded to destroy the copper boilers and winding worm pipes the moonshiners had so carefully assembled to produce their booze. Then he filled out the arrest warrants for his frightened captives. In Whitley's opinion, illegal distilling could not be so rampant in the area without official connivance. The local representative of the federal tax-collecting agency was a native Virginian who lived in a nearby village called Liberty. Whitley proceeded to the village and arrested the man. A mob assembled outside the lodge in Liberty where Whitley and his crew were holding their detainee overnight, pending his transfer to a jail at Richmond, Virginia. An emissary from the crowd